So we only have a few days left until the entire agricultural system in the EU is completely revamped and restructured, and these new rules go into effect that are going to affect the global food supply. Europe is a massive producer of food, and they are a massive exporter of food as well, and these rules could affect their yields for years and years. And their only solution is to give them subsidies, is to give them money to implement these dystopian rules. And get ready, they're coming to America too. We always think, oh, that's in Europe, that's overseas. It's coming to America. They always push it, see how far they can go in other countries, and then bring it here next. It's incrementalism and it's an agenda as well. All right, so this is the article coming out of Euractiv, and it was posted just the other day, December 23rd. It says gene editing CAP pesticides. What does 2023 hold for the EU agri-food sector? And 2023 is just in a few days, and hopefully you are prepared. Hopefully you have your seeds. Did you buy seeds? I warned you in fall. Buy your seeds. Buy your seeds for your garden in the winter, because by the time it's spring, everybody is already out. Buy bulk seeds online, all right? And stock up on them now, because the food supply is going to be affected in 2023, possibly even more than it was affected in 2022 from these new rules. So, CAP, it says now the real fun starts. It's kind of weird they said this. The real fun starts, and they're acting like this is such a great thing. So, with the approval of the Dutch CAP plan on the 13th of December, after weeks of debate, the new EU's farming subsidies program is ready to enter the force on the 1st of January. So, they're acting like it's just a subsidy program, okay? This new common agricultural policy, the CAP reform, will play out on the ground and is really what this really means for farmers. As this is the first time that farmers in EU countries will have to implement their own CAP plan, there are likely to be some teething issues, not least because the European Commission is already looking at ways to reshape and improve these plans in the first of the annual updates of these plans. All right, so basically, they're implementing a bunch of new agendas on the agricultural sector in the EU, and they're calling it the Common Agricultural Policy, and they're giving them all these subsidies and all this money to implement it. Remember the Dutch farmers, where they took thousands, over 3,000 farmers' land, and they said, here's some money, don't worry, we'll compensate you. That's what this is. They passed this to authorize a bunch of money for subsidies, and all these different countries have to set up their own plans for subsidies for farmers now to implement these agendas that are going to affect the food supply. All right, and some of the agendas we'll get to is one of them is putting human waste inside of food. Human waste, growing food inside of human waste. All right, we'll get to that in just a second. Another one that is critical is the reduction of pesticides. All right, I'm not a big pesticide fan. All right, I like using organic pesticides on my homestead, my garden. I like using neem oil and BT, a mix of that, proactively before you even get an infestation. Both organic, OMRI certified pesticides, but I understand that pesticides are critical to mass production of food. Okay, I understand, just like fertilizers, just like synthetic fertilizers are critical, but they want to cut pesticide use by half by 2030 in the EU. Okay, so back in June, the EU executive unveiled its plan to revise the bloc's plant protection product framework, the sustainable use of pesticides regulation, the main vehicle to turn into reality ambitions to slash in half the use and risk of pesticides by 2030. Okay, so they want to get they want to cut pesticide reduction, or cut pesticide use in the EU in half by 2030. All right, this is going to affect crop yields. They are also having similar plans with fertilizer as well. This is a deindustrialization, and one of their solutions is to use human waste, human feces as the fertilizer to replace it. All right, we are getting into dystopian levels, and one of their other solutions, don't worry, is just gene editing. So they are also just going to open up gene editing to make up for the pesticides. So they're going to cut the pesticides that, I agree, a lot of them are terrible for you. Okay, a lot of them affect your hormones. A lot of them aren't great for you, but at least we know a lot of them have been around for decades and we can wash them off. But the only solution they're offering, oh, don't worry, we'll just offer you more genetically manipulated food to eat. We've seen this strange genetic manipulation going on the past few years, lots of stuff going on, okay? The second quarter of 2023 will bring the Commission's long-awaited verdict on whether or not to loosen the EU rules on new genetic techniques. The Commission has already given several indications that it will back the deregulation of NGTs, which are new genetic techniques, including a sweetener for some of its other environmental plans. So this is the new pitch. It's green. It's going to be green and environmental to genetically alter the species of plants, not just in nature, but the ones that you eat and put in your body. Okay, this is going to be the solution. This is a new wave. Genetically engineered lab food and eating bugs. All right, this is what's coming next. Meanwhile, the Commission will also put forward its initiative on protecting sustainability, managing and restoring EU soils. All this great stuff, right? Make it sound great, don't worry. And here's an article just from last month too. Commission dangles gene editing to soften pesticide reduction plan, bro. Blow. So they're dangling it. Hey, don't worry. We'll let you do whatever gene editing you want. We'll just approve whatever kind of gene edited Franken food you want. And don't worry, right? Don't worry about the pesticides. It's fine. You have GMOs now. Don't worry about it. The plants will just grow pesticides in them, right? That's that's already what we have with corn. It grows BT inside of it, which is an organic pesticide. I just mentioned it with neem oil, but the GMO corn now grows BT. Bacteroides, I can't say it right. It's um, a bacteria that eats a hole inside of the stomach of caterpillars and moths that try to eat the corn. So it eats a hole inside of their stomach when they eat it. It's a natural pesticide, but they make the corn grow it. So that's what they will do. They would just have all of the plants growing pesticides inside of them for you instead of having to spray them. And it's good for the environment. All right, don't worry about it. Don't question it, and don't just trust the science. Trust us. All right. Here's the last thing that proves we are moving towards a dystopia every single day. All right. Quote, wasted opportunity using human poo to overcome EU fertilizer crisis. This is an article just a couple weeks ago out of Euractiv TV, Euractiv, because they know that fertilizer bans are coming, pesticide bans are coming. So the European Union must explore all avenues to improve the efficiency of fertilizers and close the nutrient loop, including the use of human waste as fertilizers, a top nitrogen expert told Euractiv. Quote, we have to look at the excretion of animals and compost of plants, but also the excretion of human waste, the professor said, pointing out that human waste has the added bonus of several essential micronutrients, including zinc and copper. So it's got micronutrients that you can just absorb back into. There's a reason we don't do this, because diseases can get into the soil and can get into the plants, and then you eat them, right? Human waste that's been composted very, very thoroughly at specific temperatures for years, very long time, is technically safe. But why do we need to use this unless it's an emergency, unless you're off grid out in the middle of nowhere? If you watch Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, it's an awesome channel. Go check them out. That's what they do. They compost all of waste, all right, in a bucket and save it, and then they use it for fertilizer later, right? But they compost it for years before they use it, and they are completely off grid, out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, so it's a little bit different. This is on an industrial level, and it's their own waste. This is on an industrial level, just collecting human waste, human feces to use as a fertilizer. And it says human waste is used as fertilizer in many areas of the world. All right, don't worry. China, certain places of China, they have the midnight soil all over. All right, that's what they call it out there. I think midnight soil out there. All right, they got it all over out there, and it's fine. Don't worry, no big deal. All right, so the standard's being lowered. Eat your bugs, eat your GMOs, eat your lab grown meat, eat your human waste feces food as well. All right, so let me know what you guys think about this. I'm sure a lot of people have something to say, at least about one of these topics. Let me know what you think. I think this is a sign that we are moving in the wrong direction. All right, this is not progress. I believe in sustainability. All right, I believe in sustainable farming practices, definitely. But you can't just force it on a mass scale. It's like the grid. You can't force the grid to transition over instantly. You have to build the foundation there first. You can't just make these arbitrary numbers. Cut pesticide in half in the next 7 years. Like, who came up with, did anybody calculate the yield reduction that we're going to have, the increase in pests, the explosion of all of these pests that have been suppressed by pesticides? They're all going to come back with a fear. Like, we don't have any of these studies, all right? We don't really know what's going to happen. So let me know what you think, guys. Hit that thumbs up, hit that like, hit that sub if you enjoyed this. I'm posting every single day. Thank you, guys. Hope you had good holidays and you had a big old, and I hope you have a big old blessed day. Thanks, guys.